LaunchLemonade is the easiest platform to use to build kind of like many clones of you. Help build other models, credit models, fraud models, identity models. I think it's just ourselves. Like, I think the biggest challenge is losing focus. Learn how to sell.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Startup Scaleup People podcast. Here you can learn how people build their dreams, businesses, and lives. I'm Mario Rivas. Please remember to subscribe. You know, this is important for us. I'm here with my dog, which is actually not my dog, but let's say that it's my dog. Yeah, I would like to, I'm excited to introduce Cien Solon. She's an AI expert. She's been in everywhere around the globe talking about AI, also analyzing what's happening in the market, you know, providing news about the artificial intelligence, what's happening with ChatGPT, with OpenAI, Claude, and all these, you know, companies. Also, she built a platform which helps you to run business processes with AI agents. Also, it's very cool platform too. She got more than 20,000 AI agents, around 10,000 users. Now she's doing very well. She just raised money and she's building something very cool in the next stage of her business. So yeah, very excited to have this conversation with you, Cien. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for that intro. I don't think it's the, I'm doing okay. We braced us all around, and we've been around for 2 years. So, it's okay. It's just all right.
I mean, it's all right, but you did it, right? You did it. I know how difficult it is to get around the 10,000 users, and you started this by yourself. You know, you did bootstrapping. I know your story, right? You were alone. Now you have a team, of course, and you are going to the next level. But you did this by yourself and by your own hands, which is a very good challenge and a very good achievement. So don't be so humble, okay?
It's not necessarily true. I had people who helped me build it as well. So okay. There were people along the way. It wasn't.
Okay. You know, this is a big market, you know, trillion market, you know, multi-trillion market. Everyone is investing in AI, and I just started this business, you know, creating AI agents, right? And we know that it's very important now to get up to speed on AI agents, right? What made you create this AI agent platform, and how do you start it? How this came out?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. So I think the first agent that I helped build was in 2017. It was for a company that I worked for, and it was a customer service agent. It was very basic. It was still, one of those hard rules one where if a customer asked this, then we answer that. But it was using the earliest versions of NLP. And so I learned a lot about that build. It took a year to build it, and it was a big budget, simple chatbot. We spent a lot on that chatbot in 2017. After that, I helped build other models, credit models, fraud models, identity models. So, when you apply for credit or apply for a loan or an account, and a decision is made quickly, AI has been behind that. And that's some of the technology that I helped deploy in the past before ChatGPT. So I already had an understanding of how powerful AI can be, whether it was machine learning, again, the earliest versions of NLP. But when ChatGPT came out, I was like, wow, this is powerful. I used to be a product manager, and I used to manage teams of 30 engineers, data scientists, data engineers. And I used to spend a lot of time doing documentation and writing user stories and designing wireframes. And then when ChatGPT, Hugging Face came out, all these other powerful language models, I was like, oh my God, I can do so much more with less. And I spent a year trying to understand what to build with this powerful technology. I had a failed startup before LaunchLemonade, and I built many prototypes before LaunchLemonade. And then when I met my ex-co-founder, the idea was, how do we give this super powerful tool to a non-technical business owner who doesn't understand that it is more than just a chatbot. It's a decisioning tool. It's a prediction tool. And that's how LaunchLemonade came to be. It was let's bring this to the masses.
And And that was 2 years ago, right? Because you said that it's been 2 years.
LaunchLemonade is 2 years old. My journey started maybe 3.5 years ago.
And now you have around, you said 10,000 users. Do you have a team now that's working with you to do this, all the support, onboarding, all this process that, it takes time?
It's still a small team, but we're growing. We've got my co-founder who's also the CTO. He comes from JP Morgan. He was working at JP Morgan for 8 years. He was also in kind of like the innovations lab team there. So he's amazing. And we've got developers helping us, and we also have fractional sales teams now and finance teams. So we're empowering our teams with AI so they can multiple themselves, because we're still a very lean team. Like, we believe in kind of like that stay lean philosophy. So yes, we've grown a little bit, but we're keeping it lean. We rely on fractionals. I think fractionals is such a powerful, lever startups can pull. And yeah, we've got like a healthy now.
And because you have to run your business, right? I imagine that you use your platform to run some of the functions, because that's what you do. You create basically AI agents that do work across different functions in a business. Do you also use your platform to run your business?
To be honest, the only reason we were able to bootstrap was we used a lot of our own technology. Like, we really relied on the idea of building your own AI teammates and using RAG and knowledge base to multiply yourselves and use AI to produce content quickly. A lot of the things that we produced in those 2 years when, there was no one there, was our own platform. We built our teammates in our platform, and we still do.
Which is your favorite AI team that you have in your business?
My favorite AI teammate that I think has been the most effective is my Dan Kahneman teammate. So Dan Kahneman is a famous behavioral scientist, and he wrote my favorite book, one of my favorite books out there that has helped me understand, how to communicate with customers, clients, partners. And so I have a Dan Kahneman teammate, and I have multiple versions of him. So I have a Dan Kahneman sales agent. I have Dan Kahneman investor negotiator. So Dan Kahneman has been my favorite.
Which LLM do you use for that AI agent?
I switch it up. I think, there was a time when Dan Kahneman was mainly powered by ChatGPT, but then when Gemini 3 came out, it was mainly powered by Gemini 3. If I need Dan Kahneman to analyze data, I sometimes use Grok. Then obviously Claude is a powerful coding tool, but I don't need Dan Kahneman to code. So not so much Claude.
Okay. And from your customers, do you have your top one AI agent or AI team that one of your clients created? Said, "Oh my God, even I didn't think that someone could create something so cool."
Yeah, I think one of my favorite ones was built by one of the instructors at Get Good with AI. He built a money saving expert using a Lemonade and Grok. So basically, he fed in his financial data, like banking statements, and And he and his partner ended up saving 9,000 pounds per year just using an AI tool, analyzing their bank data.
So to explain a little bit what your platform does, can you imagine that you can have a small, like a small, I would say, phrase with the value proposition, just people to understand that LaunchLemonade basically work with all the LLMs, it's connected with all of them. Basically what your platform does, and which are like the benefits of using it.
LaunchLemonade is the easiest platform to use to build kind of like many clones of you. So think of yourself as someone who has many roles and tasks, right? We do a lot of roles and tasks that we have. And so if you understand a process and your task really well and really clearly, you can translate your knowledge and that process into an AI agent that can complete that task for you or help you complete that task for you. So you're essentially building yourself an AI team through the platform.
And you are connected to all the LLMs available in the market?
Yeah, our version 2 of our platform is coming out in the next couple of weeks, and we've got over 50 language models in there, from our pro models to open source models as well.
That's crazy. And now at this stage, what do you think that is the big challenge that you have in your business? That you talk, like, just as we are talking about your business, like, let's continue, and then we can move into AI, the market, and other topics.
Yeah, I think what are the biggest challenge? It's such an interesting question. I feel like the biggest challenge for us is, I honestly think it's just ourselves. Like, I think the biggest challenge is losing focus, because there's so many cool things happening, and there's so many different ways you can pursue. And you can get distracted with like people racing, people releasing features. But it's not the biggest challenge for any business right now is focusing on what you want to build and going to market with it hard, like really smart. So I think the biggest challenge for us is staying focused, really. It's the distraction of like, oh my God, what if I can build that? Or like, what if we add that bit? Yeah, I think that's, do your customers need this? Probably not, but it's a cool thing. I'm always constantly trying things out.
How big is your market where you are at right now? Because I know that you are going to do a small change, that you're going to talk a little bit about that later. But now, which is the size of your market?
It's a multi-billion-dollar market. Yeah, our SOM is a multi-billion-dollar market. I think if we get this right, it's a multi-billion-dollar market for our kind of like our SOM. And yeah, it's an interesting market to try. It's a market that both my co-founder and I are familiar with. Our investors are familiar in that market as well. I think the dog's agreeing with me. So it's a huge market.
We show you a little bit. The dog is here. But now you said that you're going to develop a new line of business, right? Because you're going to continue with the AI agents, AI teams. But you mentioned that you want to develop a new line of business in the future. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, or you?
It's not a new line of business. It's the same business. It's just more focused. Because in the past 2 years, we bootstrapped and we were kind of like spraying and praying. Like, let's see who wants to build AI agents. Now we are focusing on financial services, and we're also launching kind of like our own powerful agents that can help these types of businesses. So yeah. From analysis, research, we've got some exciting things for that sector.
Yeah, but I would say that it's a new line of business though, because you have a platform which is like people can use to create their own agents. Now you are going to build agents to help businesses, right?
It'll be both.
Yeah.
People will still be able to build agents. So, for example, you want to build your own agent, you can also build it, and then you can even sell it to businesses as well. So it's the same model, a kind of similar model that we have now. So it's not entirely new.
I didn't know that you also can sell your AI agents via your platform to other businesses.
Yeah, we've been doing it for the past 2 years. We've always had the ability to white label an agent that you build. And we've always had the ability to sell as well.
Oh, that's very cool. I didn't know that. And now, at the stage that you are after all these years, you have a lot of knowledge, because you've been talking about the cloud leak, right? What happened there? What happened with Sora? I was watching your social media. You always are like talking about the good news, and you are very on top of what's happening in the market. The question now is, what you don't like about AI?
What do I not like about AI? I don't like that. I think how some of the companies are going on about going to market and not participating more from a socioeconomic perspective, I think is a little worrying. But that's what I'm trying to solve as well. Like, that keeps me motivated. But I do think that we have to put some responsibilities on these like crazy big companies to sort out the kind of like the job market situation. What are we going to do about that? Yeah, that's one thing that is a bit concerning for me.
You think that for all the cutouts that are coming across different companies, because they are optimizing processes or prioritizing AI rather than people, or what do you mean?
I don't think it's necessarily that. Like, go for the efficiencies, go for productivity. What is our plan for the casualty? It's not about like, yes, like let's automate some certain tasks that let's automate, but like let's also come up with like these other things that people can do and how they can monetize.
Yeah. Well, also like with all the investment that they are doing, with the new centers, right? And well, everyone is talking about, the water that they, they need to, to cool the process. I think it's like I don't remember now the name, but yeah, but they're spending a lot of energy. But when you say with the jobs, it's like, what do you mean by the jobs? By the job reduction?
Redundancies, yeah. Like there's so many redundancies and there's no plan for them.
For these people?
For the people who are being made redundant, yes.
Yeah, but that's been happening all the time, right? In the industries, right? With automation in general. I think those people are going to find new jobs or new opportunities, right? Because this is some jobs have been lost. I think new roles are going to start to come out, or new things they are going to start building. I don't know. I think there is going to be there is going to be a point that's going to be in a balance, right? I don't think that's going to be as people without jobs.
That was what they said, but if you look at the numbers and the statistics right now, there are not a lot of new jobs created, and there are not a lot of junior roles being created. So that you'd think that, because that was historically what has been happening, like from the Industrial Revolution, when calculators were invented, when factories were, like there has been that wave of like, yes, jobs were lost, but more jobs were created. But I think if you look at the statistics now and the numbers now, not yet. There's no job. It doesn't add up. The numbers of jobs being.
Yeah, because AI is going too fast, right? Everything is going too fast, so it's difficult to catch up with that. But I get your point. I think if you think it's quite like concerning. But from that perspective, which are for you the key skills that every human should have right now to try to protect themselves from this situation?
I think that the most important skill to have right now that I actually don't have is selling. Everyone should learn to sell. If you know how to sell anything, then you can.
But I think you're very good at marketing, though, which is also selling.
It's different. I think marketing is getting your face out there and getting that, foot on the door. Selling is when you close the deal.
Yeah, that's true. But sales is always difficult for every single business when you're starting. I know that because I also be working in businesses and also in sales, business development, growth. It's difficult when you start from scratch, because when you are working in a big corporate or big company with a big brand, it's not difficult. It's not difficult.
Yeah.
The problem is when you start from zero. And what do you think apart of sales? Like, what do you think about the leadership skills?
The leadership skills, I think that we have to learn how to lead AI agents. By leading them, I mean orchestrating AI agents. We all now have to learn how to manage AI agents, I think, and understand how to manage people who are managing AI agents. I think that's a skill. And if you're an employee, I think you need, again, sales is, like if you know how to build agents, you need to know how to sell them up so that you get promoted or, you get celebrated. So those are the skills.
From all these big companies, like OpenAI, Claude, you were talking about Claude, about the leak, right, that happened. Which is your view about that? Because you were explaining on social media, the top topics, right? But from your perspective, what do you think about what happened?
I have been thinking about it a lot. And it's only fresh, right? Like it happened a couple of days ago, or barely. I think that, from when we're recording this now, we're recording this on Thursday, 2nd of April. I think it could be anything, like if you come from the Sam Altman, Elon Musk book, like maybe that leak wasn't an accidental leak. Like some people are saying that, some conspiracies around it. But, like for me, if you're releasing features upon features every day for the past, I don't know how many months now, you're bound to make some of these mistakes and errors. So I'm not overly surprised that something like this could happen. There is another issue that happened as well that is not being talked about that actually is a bigger problem for people who were deploying on Claude the other day. There was kind of like a Trojan, like a bigger problem really that was able, you know, like this malicious actor was able to steal some data from people who were deploying on a certain day, just a couple of days ago. That's a bigger issue actually. We're seeing Claude issues now. There was another issue with Claude as well that I read the other day about one user spending $27,000 or $28,000 worth of credits on a $200 plan. So we're seeing some cracks, but that's because they're launching so many things. Yeah, it's almost like like obviously you'll have things like these happening. Like even this happens to Google sometimes. This happens to Microsoft. Like almost like it's almost expect. You know, like it's almost not a big surprise, basically.
What do you think there was a conspiracy? What do they say about that?
But the conspiracy that's going around is saying that Claude did this on purpose. Like they want people to talk about, it's free marketing for them. Like they want people to talk about the new model that was hidden, all the feature flags that were hidden.
You were mentioning that they were talking about this filter or barrier that they are creating to avoid that other LLMs can use their intelligence, basically.
And
Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so they have this anti-distillation script. So distillation is when another company train a model through the outputs of an LLM. So instead of training their own model, they train through outputs of the model. So they don't have to use the same mechanisms that these other LLMs do. So what Claude seems to have been doing is that they made this kind of like script that if Claude thinks that it's being distilled, then it produces an output that is designed to sabotage whoever is training through distillation. So it's just DeepSeek did this with ChatGPT, and they're trying to avoid that happening to them, and I'm sure it's already happened to them.
That's a very cool, hey, come on, mechanism to defend themselves. But all of these companies are doing that. I
don't know if everyone's doing it. I know that it happened to OpenAI with DeepSeek. I don't know if everyone's doing anti-distillation techniques. We just saw that in the script. And
which was another important problem that you saw in that leak?
There were many things. There was like a hidden kind of like agent that is supposedly super autonomous. So it's this kind of like this powerful agent that they built that they haven't released yet, but it's hidden in a feature flag called Kairos. That's interesting. They also had like some Easter eggs in there. Like they had this like Tamagotchi style, I don't know, buddy feature that they had hidden there. I don't know exactly how that would work, but that was quite interesting. And they also had kind of like they used a really old way to like filter in frustration. Like they use regex to filter or to detect if a user is frustrated, and then once it detects that, it changes how it would respond to that user. Yeah, those are some of the things.
So that's very, very, very cool. Cien, from your experience on like building this AI platform, AI agents, you know, like now creating this new line of business, which are like the key advices that you would say to someone who wants to start using AI agents? Because a lot of people, they don't know how to use it, they don't know what it is, and in terms of how difficult it is, can you walk us through that a little bit?
It's not difficult. It's easier than ever. You just have to prioritize what you want to build, line them up to a business goal or career goal, and then start on a platform. You could use Claude, you can use LaunchLemonade, you can use, you know, like even ChatGPT. Just get on one platform, start really, you know, exploring these capabilities. And my only advice to you now is learn how to sell. Like allocate time to explore these tools, 30 minutes a day, and then upskill in selling and learn how to sell anything.
How much time someone, like, you know, for example, my sister, she doesn't know that, she barely uses ChatGPT. right? How long is it going to take her, for example, to start building an AI agent on your platform from scratch?
If she puts 30 minutes in a day to learning about AI and the platform, and once she understands, like she removes this mental barrier around how to build agents, she'll build a good one in a day. Like, I think she needs that learning, kind of like she needs to try the platforms first. But once you've tried it and you understand what, building a knowledge base is, choosing a language model, all of these basic things, you can build an agent in an hour, maybe less.
Wow, it's very quick, right? It's very, very quick because you created the workflow to follow the step by step, right? To follow the instructions step by step and make it easier.
Yeah, the V2 of our platform is even going to be easier and more powerful, but it will really depend on how much you understand your task. So if you understand your task and you're able to say it in English, then it's even going to be easier.
When are you going to release the version 2?
So there's a small beta that is live now, but V2 is going to be available in the next couple of weeks on the platform. So yeah, it's gonna be a few weeks.
How much are the prices for this platform or for the actual one? If people want to subscribe, so they know.
So currently, if you're watching this before we go live with the new platform, currently it's $25 to access all the models: ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Grok, DeepSeek. And build your own teammates. But when we launch our V2 and we finally bring that out, that'll be from $49 or $39 if you're a big team per user.
And what happened with those people who subscribed before? You're going to keep the prices or they had to upgrade the price?
They'll keep their prices.
They had to sign up as soon as possible.
They'll keep their prices up until we update it. Yeah.
And what else would you like to touch before? Because we're heading to the end. We have a few minutes more, like 7-10 minutes more. That's something that you're excited to say, something you would excited to share or to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting time to start building. If you're listening and you're wondering, how can I get started? Just, go to a website, check it out and start building. Yeah. I think the world is your oyster. Go for it.
Which is your favorite AI tool? Not yours, an additional one.
What is my favorite AI tool that is not mine? I mean, Claude right now is very powerful. I really like the updates that they've made, but I'm also reaching a point where it's starting to become messy. So, I'm tempted to say Claude because it's the most exciting tool right now. But I'm just looking at what else have I been using a lot. I use anti-gravity.
Sorry?
I use anti-gravity, which is a Google tool as well. It's a desktop tool.
For what? Yeah. For which purpose do you use that tool?
Building apps on my local device. So building apps and building agents. That's what I've been using it for. Yeah. I think what might beat it is, so Claude and Perplexity launched computer use, which basically you're giving your AI the ability to run your computer and control your mouse and your keyboard. That's quite powerful, but also very dangerous.
There was reading about Open Cloud, right?
Open Cloud.
And it was like, I had to have a new laptop to run it. So like, why do I need a new laptop? It's not because this has access to everything.
True. Yeah.
Do you check it out just to see how it works, or you haven't had time to do it yet?
I have checked it out initially when it came out, but I tried to be smart about it by using kind of like a virtual machine, but it's still like, I deleted it. It's like, no, it's too much. Actually, you won't be able to see it, but I've got multiple devices. Like I've got 2 Mac Minis, I've got 2 laptops in front of me. So yeah, it's all about, for me, because I am like risk averse. Like, let's have different devices for different things.
And when you say too much, is because, just to explain it a bit, because we think that everyone knows, but people don't know. So Open Cloud They have access to all your laptop, and it helps you to automate, like how you work, right? With your laptop and your daily tasks. That's what it does, right?
It can do your task. Like you can use Telegram or any messaging tool, and you can send tasks to your OpenFlow, whether that's, like check your emails, do calendar, check your calendar, manage your calendar. It's quite powerful. You can ask it to shop for you. You can ask it to do, like things for you online.
Wow, it's like a sort of more powerful Siri, right? A real Siri.
Yeah, OpenClaw. Yeah.
What do you think about Apple? Because Apple, they haven't been able to create AI, and they haven't been able to create a powerful stuff. And Siri, which was very cool in the past, now it's actually in the past, right?
I think they're very smart. They have the lowest capex amongst kind of like the biggest companies, the big tech companies. They partnered with Gemini to power their AI solutions at a very low price compared to how much people are paying for AI, like how much people are spending on training their own language models. I think Apple is really smart about the decisions they made around their AI implementation. They're not competing against language model providers. They're just using them to power their device. Like, I think they've been really smart about their.
But Siri is still very limited, right? You can't do many things with Siri, right? Now with the new versions, actually, it's very.
That's why they partnered with Gemini. So they partnered with Google, I think from late last year, or was it? I don't know when that closed. But they're building a new version of Siri powered by Gemini.
So that's gonna be a sort of open cloud, but in your phone.
I don't know what they're building, but they are improving it.
That would be amazing. Great. It's been a very good conversation, Cien. Can you please share some lesson learned with people that would like to start a new business? This is your second one, for what I understand. Something that you would like to share with them. Basically, lesson learned about building business.
Learn how to sell.
You find it so difficult?
I think it's so difficult. Like, I think it's a muscle that's not natural. Like, you have to really push yourself to sell. It's I think it's an important skill. I wish I learned earlier. I have many sales coaches. I have sales people helping me right now on LaunchLemonade. Yeah.
That's in something related to AI?
LaunchLemonade. They're teaching me how to sell.
And what would you advise someone that never have used AI, any single thing? How do they should start?
Look at your work right now and think, what are the repeatable things that I do, and what are the things that I use a lot of data for? And then open up ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or LaunchLemonade, and then start thinking, okay, you can ask your AI, how do I turn this into an AI agent?
Okay. Cool. So we talk about different things. Exciting to see your new platform during the next weeks, and to see what's going to happen also with your new line of business. And wishing you the best, Cien. I find you a very powerful woman with a lot of energy, very positive energy. I'm very proud of what you're doing. Maybe you're quite humble, but sometimes we have to recognize our achievements, even if sometimes are small compared with someone else. Because that's our problem. We compare ourselves, our achievement with someone else who are better. So we say, it's not too good. I would like to be better. But the reality with what you have done, you're in another country, right? I have heard your story, and you did this by yourself, and now you are, like everyone sees you as an AI expert. And you've been in everyone around the globe talking about AI, with your own business. So congratulations, and I'm very proud for what you're doing. And I hope that we can have another. Today the conversations were just to settle some basics, right, and some basic information about AI, all of that. But it would be cool to have another episode with Ruyuta, who is a friend that she's an AI expert too, so we can have a more like a sort of deep conversation about AI, or you can have a deep conversation about AI, and I can interact a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me. And thank you so much.
Okay, cool. I will see you around. Good luck with everything. Cheers.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.